Christian Mamas. We are 3 Christian moms with a progressive mindset and loving hearts and minds. We are imperfect humans, but we're all loved in God's sight. At some point, we've all felt like the church and Christianity may not have been for us, but God isn't looking for perfection. He's just looking for you.
We are not experts in Christian theology, and we do not represent any particular Christian faith or church. We are simply here to be authentic, and we hope you join us on this journey.
Hello, and welcome back to Messy Christian Mamas. This is Kendra.
This is Kaylee.
And this is Ashley.
And we're so glad you're here. We have a fun episode coming up today, but what's going on, ladies? How's life?
Life is very busy.
Same.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Understood.
Life is beating me up.
I'm so tired this week.
Right.
We had
Right.
curriculum night last night, which was
Yeah.
great, but I'm so tired. I just sit in class. I felt like I was a student yesterday, which is fine. It was like good way to meet teachers and things.
Yes, and like I like any opportunity to like go into my kids' school building and just like be there and be a part of the culture.
Yeah.
But yeah, like all week long, I've been like, what can I cut out of my schedule?
Mm-hmm.
Like something has to be cut out of the schedule because it's running me. My life is running me.
Right?
Yeah.
The tail's wagging the dog.
Right.
Yeah.
How about you, Kaylee?
I looked at my agenda and I was like, this is too much. And I immediately closed it because I was like, I can't do it. Because now like having main job, second job.
Have we talked about that?
I don't know.
We haven't.
I
We
don't
haven't
think we
talked
have.
about it.
Oh, so yes. So I am officially now the new director of children and family ministry at our church. And I'm super, super excited. It's, I woke up at 4:30 my first day. I was so excited and made my lunch like I was a little kid going to school for the first time. It was embarrassing, but
I'm excited that Kaylee's my coworker.
I know. Well, so talking about like trying to drop things from schedules and like ADHD brain and everything. I told myself yesterday, I'm not going to go to my other office because I have staff meetings at the church on Mondays. So I'm going to go to the church and I'll do my main job at the church. I'll close my door and I'll do my main job at the church for 4 hours. I won't charge the church that those hours. I'll charge Ashley those hours. Forgetting that 2 of my best friends work at the church. Shelly and Kendra both work at the church on Mondays. So I don't think the ADHD has been so severe as it was yesterday and today. Because I was like, oh, all my friends are here. I was like a little like social butterfly. I kept leaving my desk to go talk to them. And then like more people were coming in to volunteer. So I was like, oh, I'm going to go talk to Rebecca. I'm going to go talk to Kathy. It took me like our associate pastor threatened to lock me in my office because he came by and I was walking back into my office and he was like, didn't you say you were doing your other job this morning? And I said, yes. And he was like, well, and I was like, yeah, I just got done. I just got done with like the task that I need to do. And he was like, well, how long does it usually take you to do that task? And I said like an hour. And he goes, how long did it take you today? And I was like, 2.5 hours. And he was like, I'm going to lock you in your office and you're not going to be allowed to come out until you're done. Yeah. But it's so fun. And I have discovered that I do kind of work better when I can switch back and forth between the 2 jobs, because when one job is heavy on math and the other one is heavy on fun. And so when I am tired of doing the math, I can switch to the fun one, which is great. But I'm also, on top of all of this, I have Charlotte Grace, who has a social life that rivals Paris Hilton. So I just am constantly also chauffeuring her around and getting her to places. And mom and dad are helping as much as they can. But, Kelsey's pregnant and the boys also need us. Like, it's just been, it's been crazy.
Right.
I was starting to fill out the calendar. I have a big calendar on my wall to like plan ahead. I've never been a planner of like things way, way in advance. I'm not Hobby Lobby. I'm like a last minute person. Mm-hmm. And now I'm having to turn into Hobby Lobby. Like I'm having to plan for Christmas in August. And I'm like, this is hard for me. I was starting to fill out my big wall calendar and I stopped after September because I was like, I just can't. I just can't continue to look at like how much I need to do.
So something, I got to tell you ladies, something that really pissed me off today. It was actually on my way over here, and I got really, really hot about it. So we're on our way home from Costco to unpack some stuff so I could come over to do the podcast late. Sorry, ladies. And I open Instagram, and there's this video that comes up, and it's 3 ladies from a church on an account that's about worship fails, which is like one of my favorite things to follow because they're just funny. You know, like you get a drummer in who's like very enthusiastic during the softest of ballads, or like they accidentally mute the singer's mic and the cameraman singing, and like it's just funny stuff. So this one, these 3 ladies are singing that song. I don't know if you ladies know the song. He loves us. Oh, how he loves us.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
How he loves us. Anyway, pretty song. These ladies are singing, she loves us. Oh, how she loves us. And the caption on the video said, when you call God a she, fail.
Uh-oh.
They need to watch Dogma.
Right.
Oh, that's a great
I know.
movie.
This is like we need Pastor Carla for this moment, who calls the Holy Spirit a she, right? At the same time, I am in the book of Ezekiel, which is a lot like Revelation. It is so crazy. Like I'm in the first chapter, it talks about, I'm going to read a little bit of this if you guys don't mind. Ezekiel is talking about a vision that he received from God. As I looked, I saw a stormy wind coming out of the north, a great cloud with fire flashing continually from it, and a brightness was around it. And in its core, there was something like glowing amber-colored metal in the midst of the fire. Within it, there were figures resembling 4 living beings. And this was their appearance. They had human form. Each one had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and the soles of their feet were like a calf's hoof. And they sparkled and gleamed like like shiny bronze. Under their wings, on their 4 sides, they had human hands. As for the faces and wings of the 4 of them, their wings touched one another. Their faces did not turn when they moved. Each went straight forward. Regarding the form and appearance of their faces, they each had the face of a man in front, and each had the face of a lion on the right side, and the face of an ox on the left side. All 4 also had the face of an eagle at the back of their heads. Such were their faces. Goes on to talk about their wings. Among the living beings, there was something that looked like burning coals of fire, like torches moving back and forth among the living beings. The fire was bright, and the lightning was flashing from the fire, and the living beings moved rapidly back and forth like flashes of lightning. So I bring this up because I'm in this book, and then I see this post, and it just kills me when we, as Christians, try so hard to judge the viewpoints of Christians saying we don't know everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It kills me to see how accepted you can be in this world of Christianity if you keep your mind closed and you just believe what the masses believe and you don't try to make any waves. Sure, all of our Bibles refer to God as a he. And, you know, in Exodus, it says we're all created in the image of God. But in Ezekiel, it also says that these 4 beings looked like humans. Mm-hmm. I've never seen a human that looked like that had 4 faces and calf hooves.
Right.
Right? How can we begin to understand what God looks like? I didn't see any mention of a penis there or anywhere else that referred to God.
Right.
I've always been under the impression that, God as the supreme being, like the Father, like any of that, like is genderless, like is non-binary.
God is a they.
Basically. Yeah. Like I've always been that it's a presence that when he spoke to people, it was a voice. When he appeared to people, that he appeared to them as something that they would understand.
Right.
And then Jesus being son of man, that's like, okay, then we have like a gendered being And then the Holy Spirit, again, is a spirit and a presence. So again, genderless.
Right.
So I've never understood, if you see God as the Father and that comforts you and that's something that you like, you're choosing, then great, fantastic. If you see God as just a presence and like an overarching, feeling, then fantastic. Like, who am I? Who am I to say that that's wrong or that's right? Or it's so beyond me that people tend to just pick
Right.
what they want to argue about today.
Yeah. And I feel like Jesus was an anarchist. Like, he came and wanted to change everything, so.
He said, like, the way you think these things are, you're looking at it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, look at it in this way instead.
Mm-hmm. So, who are we to know? And also, is it going to like hurt you so bad if God does turn out to be a woman? Is it, because we don't know.
Let me be a fly on the wall, please.
If God turns out to be Alanis Morissette.
Oh my gosh, I would be so excited. I will be sitting there at the gates. Like, I'm going to be the worst. Like, I will be like, Jesus is going to be so sick of me in heaven. Because I'm going to be like, who's coming up today? Like, who's on the roster today? Let me get my popcorn. Let me get my lawn chair. Like, I want to see Peter, go back and forth with this person this week. And he'll be like, Kaylee, one more time and you're out.
Yep.
Stop instigating problems.
We might need to do an episode on gender at some
Oh,
point
yeah.
soon.
It's a hot topic right now.
Made me so mad. It made me so mad to see that. It's just like, it's not a weakness to admit that you don't know everything and to challenge the status quo.
Right.
And to challenge these ideas that are on the page of a book that was translated and versioned out so many times.
Right.
That's it's kind of like the argument my dad and I had with my mom the other day, because I was talking about, like, I was struggling at first to get people to fill in Sunday school roles. And she was like, oh my gosh, your dad would be so great. He would be a great Sunday school teacher. And she was like, because he knows the Bible so much better than I do. And I was like, I don't want a Bible scholar as a Sunday school teacher. I don't think that's necessary for, especially teaching elementary, Sunday school.
And honestly, I remember going through Sunday school at Christ Our Shepherd growing up, and we had to like memorize the Bible verses, and that's like standard, whatever. Mm-hmm. But that was like the main focus was like just go and memorize this Bible verse. And like, I didn't feel like a warm, loving kindness walking into that room. It was more like, did you memorize your verse this week?
And that's what I want. Like, the curriculum that we use really like encourages critical thinking. Like, you tell a story and then you're like, okay, let's connect this to what's going on in your life in the moment. How can we use this story and make it relevant for you today? And I said, Mom, I don't know all the stories in the Bible. And my dad, my dad was an altar boy, but my dad turned around and was like, Pam, I don't know, I've forgotten a lot of the stories. Like, I'm not like every Sunday churchgoer either. And I think it's like, it was really kind of surprising to my mom that me, like, taking on this role was like, I don't want people who know the Bible inside out. I want adults to turn around to kids and say, I'm not sure. Like, let's ask our pastor about it, or let's, let me do some research and I'll get back to you and come to me with those questions. Absolutely. And we can seek those answers. Or maybe you should talk to your parents about that, get their parents involved in their faith. Like, I think that's important. I think anybody who tries to stand on this pedestal and say, well, I am a Bible scholar and I know all, and be like, that's going to be an easy pedestal to topple over.
Absolutely.
Well, it's like being a teacher. It's like you can know the curriculum backwards and forwards, but like, do you know the art and the skill of teaching?
Yeah. Kids are always going to catch you out too. If you pretend like you know everything, they will find a question to ask you and be like, oh, well, crap.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So that's not what today's episode is about. Sorry for the derailment, but had to get that off my chest. So today's episode is about Bathsheba.
We've had way too much fun with that word.
If you want to know how to spell it, that's all you have to remember.
Initial conversation.
The whole conversation, trying to help Ashley out with the spelling. Yes. So today we are talking about Bathsheba, and this, when we were talking about Jezebel, her story kind of like popped into my head as kind of another woman who has been painted a certain way throughout history. But when you actually read her story, you realize that a lot of creative license was taken with her story and a lot of liberties were taken with her story. She's been painted as an adulteress, a seductress, a helpless victim, a manipulator, an adulterer. Like, she's been painted as all of these things. So when we were talking about Jezebel, like, her story kept kind of coming up in my head, and I decided, okay, like, let me go back and read it. And I had done a devotion that her story was a part of it. I was like, okay, well, let me go back and read that devotion as well and do some more research. So Bathsheba's story starts in 2 Samuel, and it goes all the way to 1 Kings. Okay, so Bathsheba, what do you guys know about Bathsheba? Like, what are some, like, when I say that name, what are some images, things that come to mind? Cover up my Bible.
I can't read it.
I know,
here.
it's so hard.
I don't know much about her at all.
Yeah, I've read all of Bathsheba's story. I'm blanking a little bit right now, but she is
There's a hint in her name.
Bath.
Yeah, she's taking a bath.
Okay.
Yeah, David.
Yes,
David was married, and David
to several people.
to so many people, like hundreds of women,
Had
right?
lots
Like
of pretty
couple
wives
hundred.
already, and concubines.
Yeah.
Okay.
That he was like married to about 200, I think it was, something like that.
Had
And then
a
lots
a lot
of
of
concubines
wives.
on top of that.
Okay.
a lot of wives.
So
And David's
How?
always
Probably tired.
like,
not too tired.
and David was like God's favorite. Let's just
Yes.
point out.
Okay.
And David
And
was getting busy.
The word,
much.
so the word in Hebrew that describes Bathsheba, like the word that they use in Hebrew that's saying like Bathsheba is beautiful, has only been used for like the creme de la creme in the Bible. It was used for Vashti, it was used for Rebecca, it was used for David. So like it's like they were a power couple. Like they were the gold, like they were the star cheerleader and the quarterback. Like they were the golden couple. So Bathsheba is hanging out on her roof, and she's taking a bath. And there's been some like back and forth about what she was actually doing. Like, she was bathing, and some say it was like a ritual bath, like she's just gotten done with her period, and so this is a cleansing bath that she's doing. It's a ritual bath, or she could just be taking a bath on her roof. It's twilight. The girl probably thought she was by herself, like minding her own business, because in the story it does say that like David is on the roof of the palace, not even like on his balcony or like on the grounds. He's on the roof of his palace walking around, and he looks across and he sees Bathsheba bathing herself, and immediately, like the wolf in the cartoons, like the heart eyes come out, the jaw drops, and lust like overcomes.
I got the feeling that she was like far away even. I got the feeling she was like far away from where he was.
Yeah, I mean,
too,
he's
right?
got great vision. And yet, like, at this point, David's older. He's not like old, but he's like in his probably like 40s, 50s. Bathsheba is probably a lot younger than he is.
Yeah.
So he sees her, and he says that like he doesn't know who she is. But he sends for a messenger, and like his boy comes in. I'm going to tell the Bible story like I tell my kids, and they get so mad at me because we use like Gen Alpha. It's like,
Okay.
so his like boy comes, and he's
got
like,
so much riz.
yeah, she's got so much res. She's like no cap. She's so beautiful. This is when Charlie would be like glaring at me. Shut up.
Yeah, Liv gets so mad.
Oh, it's so great. It's so much fun.
I don't ever try to say these words.
Oh my God, it's so much fun. You should definitely do it.
Or a
you're-
farming.
I'm good.
That's
I
I
would
hear them all
say
day.
Addison wouldn't care. Like our kids, like our girls, like really care. So his servant, so he calls his servant, and he's like, "Who is this goddess that I am looking at?" And his servant like tries to help him out, because I'm sure we've all had friends who've done this, or like maybe even a friend do this to us, where like they're starting to, they start crushing on someone that they shouldn't be crushing on, or they are thinking about doing something they shouldn't be thinking about. And you're like, I don't want to outright tell you that this is a bad idea, but I'm going to give you all the reasons why this is a bad idea. And like, hopefully you make your own, like, you make a good decision. So the servant's like, that's Bathsheba. Her dad is one of your greatest warriors of all time. And her husband married is like one of your top guys in the war that you are waging right now.
Yeah.
And so kind of like phrases it to him like, she's married. You're supposed to be God's favorite. Slow your roll. Put the tongue back in your mouth. Like, leave her alone. And David ignores it. And he's like, bring her to me.
He's like, and.
Yeah, like, I'm the king. I do what I want. Silver platter now. So he basically he sends people to bring her to him. And so this is where I think the whole bathing on the rooftop is where I really believe that's where like this whole kind of manipulation of the story of like, she's an adulteress, she's a seductress. Right. She really like, she was trying for this.
She was 3 miles away from the palace bathing on her rooftop,
she was
seducing him.
Clean. It's the middle of the desert. She probably had sand in places she did not want sand.
By the way, can we bring back rooftop baths?
That
That
sounds
sound amazing.
Yes.
So nice. I love like a skinny dip. I love a skinny
that
dip.
idea.
I don't really skinny. I chunky dunk, but like it's. I love that feeling. Like I'm with homegirl.
Let's do it.
So now so let's now like go to her perspective. So she has no idea what's going on. It's not like he called her or sent like a pigeon to like tell her like, hey, by the way, I can see you, or like cat called her from the roof of the palace. These 2 men show up at her doorstep and say, you have to come with us. The king wants to see you. Even in today's society, you wouldn't say no. Like, you can't say no.
Right.
Like, if the ruler says, if like 2 agents come to our door and say, so-and-so, like the ruler of your country demands your presence, then you're going to be like, and her husband is fighting for the king.
Right.
So I'm thinking in her head, she's like, something's wrong. Something's happened. Like the last thing I'm thinking is this is a booty call. Like I'm thinking like something's going on. So she shows up. We don't know if she says to him, I'm married. We don't know if she protests. We don't know if she screams. We don't know if she willingly goes to his bed chambers. Like we don't know that part of the story. All we know is that the deed happens. Mm-hmm. In my mind, this is a perfect example of corruption of power and power rape. Like, I mean, even if she sleeps with willing. You, like you are exerting power of the utmost degree in this, and then sends her home. Like, doesn't even like keep her as a concubine. Like, doesn't even try. Like, knows that he messed up, sends her home, and is like, I got what I got what I wanted. I got what I needed. Like, mission accomplished. Go on home. And then a couple of weeks pass by, and Bathsheba, being a woman, knows how to read the signs and sends words to the palace saying, I'm pregnant. And I think that is also like God really kind of telling David, like, you messed up. You've done messed up, boy. Like, like, now what are you going to do? Right. I gave you the chance to say no by having your boy tell you this is a bad idea. Mm-hmm. And you went ahead and did it anyway. Now, what are you going to do? Are you going to do the honorable thing? And David doesn't. Like, David royally screws up again, makes a bad situation way worse. He basically decides, like, plots and tries to get, like, has her husband come back from the war and is like, go home, see your wife, have fun. Like, you have my permission. And Uriah is so loyal to the king and to the cause that he sleeps at the palace, like refuses to go home. And when David asked him, like his servants tell him, like, he didn't go home last night. And David's like, oh, crap. Like, plan A is now ruined. And he goes to Uriah and is like, why didn't you go home? And he's like, my men are out there fighting. Like, I need to be back with my men. Like it's not right for me to be here. So David gets him then drunk and tries to send him to go home to be this. At no point do we like know what's going on with Bathsheba at this point. We don't even know if she knows that her husband is home because she's not at the palace. Right. She's at the house. Uriah sleeps at the palace again, refuses to go home. And so David, in an act of, I can only imagine extreme frustration, just plots to kill him. Says, okay, you can go back to the war, whatever, leave. But then tells the person, like tells the general, put him on the front line where it's like guaranteed that he's gonna
be the first to go.
Yeah, he's gonna be the first to go.
Yeah.
So that's what, and so then Bathsheba then hears that her husband is killed and mourns him. And then all we get is this really short, we get this really short, let's see if I can find it. This is what we get. We get, when Uriah's wife heard that her husband Uriah had died, she mourned for him. When the time of mourning ended, David had brought her to his house. She became his wife and bore him a son. Mm-hmm. However, the Lord considered what David had done to be evil. So again, not a whole lot of agency that she's getting to have. Like, we talk about agency a lot. Like, this is a woman who doesn't have a whole lot of agency. Back then, the committing of adultery, like, it doesn't matter that she's the victim in this. It's really a sin against her husband. Like, in the law's eyes, it was a sin against Uriah, and that's why David's working so hard to like cover up his tracks and make it up to Uriah, and then decides to kill him because then he's like, well, now I can solve it if he's out of the way.
Right.
So this is when the Lord then decides to get a prophet involved and sends Nathan, who's one of my favorite prophets, because he's like, tells it what it like it is.
Nathan's an interesting.
Nathan's a pretty cool guy. So Nathan goes to David and tells him a story, a parable, and it's about a really, really rich man who has like all this cattle, and a really, really poor man who just has like one sheep. And then God calls for an offering, and the rich man takes the poor man's sheep and offers it. And David gets really, really mad at the story. He's like, oh my God, like he owes him like 4 times that land. Like, why would he steal from the poor man? And Nathan's like, dude, you're the guy in the story. Like, you're the villain in the story. Like, you're the bad guy in this fairy tale. And David then realizes that like he really messed up. And Nathan tells him, like, you're going to pay a price for this. Like, God is going to punish you for this. But the punishment is the death of their son, is the death of David and Bathsheba's first son. And I'm like, is that really a punishment to David? Like, I feel like that was more like nowhere in the story does Nathan ever blame Bathsheba. Nowhere in the story that says Bathsheba sinned. It's all about David's sin. Even Psalm 51 is all about David repenting his sin and never putting the blame, which is nice that he didn't put the blame on Bathsheba's feet. But
the sin also doesn't appear to be having sex outside of his marriage, mm-hmm. or having another person that he brings in to marry. It is him getting Uriah killed.
Yeah. It's like it was like a twofold sin. And he's like, you did this. And so disaster is going to come on your family. So the baby survives 7 days, and in the 7 days, this is also something about the story that really kind of pisses me off, because for 7 days, David fasts and like cries and begs the Lord to change his mind. And on the 7th day, the baby dies. And the servants are scared to tell David that the baby's died because he's been so distraught for a week. And then he sees them whispering to each other. And he's like, did the baby die? And they're like, yes. And he immediately stops, like fasting. And they're like, what's going on? Like, you've just been so upset. And he was like, well, I tried to make God change his mind. He didn't change his mind. So
nothing I can do.
Moving on. And I'm like,
what it is.
Yep. If I was Bathsheba, I would be like, oh my God, I'm going to murder you in your sleep.
He's abandoned her essentially for a week.
Yeah.
For these rituals.
Yeah.
Like,
so she's dealing with a sick baby by herself. All the other wives don't like her
after the baby dies.
All the concubines not happy with her either. So like she's not a popular lady at the palace.
Gotta move forward.
But just like everything that God does, there is a sense of restoration. So Bathsheba and David have another son, and that son is Solomon, and that son becomes King Solomon. And there's a little bit of like, there's some power plays that happen like in the story, like one of David's other sons and wives like try to manipulate the throne away from Solomon. And Nathan goes to Bathsheba and is like, you need to speak up because God wants your son to be king, doesn't want this guy to be king. Even though I did find an interesting tidbit. So Bathsheba's grandfather was one of the advisors to King David and actually betrays him and decides to like kind of go with this other son, like support this other son because of the way David had treated his granddaughter. So I thought that was kind of like interesting. But then he realizes like Bathsheba's like, no, I want my son to take the throne. So Bathsheba like goes to David and is like, you promised me that Solomon would be, to make up for everything that happened, that Solomon would be king. And then Nathan comes in at the same time, and David kind of looks at Nathan and is like, is this a good idea? And Nathan's like, this is what God wants. And so David's a very old man at this point. And so David anoints Solomon to be the king. And we know that King Solomon was a very, very popular, saying he's really in the line.
I was wrong. David only had 8 wives, but could have been like up to 18 with concubines, something along those lines. Solomon
was so busy.
Solomon was the one. So Solomon, he was a busy man. According to, what am I in? 1 Kings 11. Solomon had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines. And they specified 700 wives of royal birth. How many wives of not royal birth did he have?
Yeah, those were the concubines.
Well, maybe. Or were there more?
I think at that point, it's just a collection. Like, it's like Beanie Babies. Like, you're just collecting at that point, so.
He had at least 1,000 women in his collective harem.
That's why he has a whole book in the Bible dedicated to his
he did build that temple. Like,
well, now we know
Solomon's
why.
temple was...
That's the first lesson of Sunday school is King Solomon building the temple. I'm going to leave out the whole thing about the 700 wives and 300
There were so many women to help.
It was done. Can you imagine 700 women getting together trying to decorate? Like, oh my God, it would be ridiculous. Head wife would be like, nope, this is a solo mission, guys. Head wife. Like Barb in Big Love.
Yep.
That's what it would be. Not Barb Edgerton. That's not who we're talking about.
She would be the head wife.
She would be that way. Totally. I'll be like, you can have it.
Good luck.
Best of luck to you. So Bathsheba does come up again in 1 Kings with King Solomon. He basically puts her in a role of advisor. And there is some evidence. Again, I didn't go down this rabbit hole because I was very, very tired. But he had a nickname, and there is some evidence that points to she is the one giving him the advice, and might have been the reason behind Proverbs 31 woman. That might have been her decree to him.
Oh, damn.
Because there is there's something that's in Proverbs 31. Let me see if I can find it. That like really kind of points to this. And it's like a certain thing that she says about it's basically respecting decisions, like respecting like propriety and everything like that. Let me see if I can find it.
Well, that's interesting, Bathsheba.
Well, and it's also like in Proverbs 31, like the very beginning, it says, "Do not spend your strength on women." It does sound like he spent a lot of strength on women. So, okay, so he basically says like, "Don't be a drunkard." Like she tells him not to be a drunkard, and because drunkards tend to forget what has been decreed and deprive all the oppressed of their rights. Mm-hmm. So there is some sign pointing to David was drunk when all of this happened, and he made a drunken decision to pull her to the palace and totally ignored her rights in all of this. So there is some, like, again, it's commentary, it's translation, it's people interpreting, but it could be a possibility. Like there definitely could, like, I can see the line, I can see the track, and like her turning around and being like, you can have 700 wives and 300 concubines as long as you're not doing drunken booty calls, pulling them away from their husbands in the middle of the night.
Spend all your energy on those 1,000 women. Oh, okay.
Good luck. So yeah, I think she's an interesting character. She's an interesting person. I think obviously just like every other woman in the Bible, I think there's much more to her than what has been said about her. I don't think that she is an absolute villain. I don't think she is an absolute saint. I think she's a woman trapped in her circumstance.
Yeah. Right. And it sounds like this story didn't have very much empathy for her and her situation.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
But Nathan did, like, and I like, you have to respect the fact that Nathan kind of did. Like, I mean, here's a prophet that turns around and like does not put the blame on her. She could have very easily, like, she's been painted as like their modern day Eve. Like he could have put all of that blame at her feet and instead was like, nope, God's mad at you, David. You're the one who messed up. You're the one who has the power in this situation. You're the one who decided to corrupt that power. You're the one who's going to pay that price, and you are the one who has to forgive. And it's like David kind of, like, in my mind, David kind of half-assed did that. Like, yeah. I mean, he goes to comfort Bathsheba after the death of their son, and that's when she gets pregnant with Solomon. I don't know how much comfort.
How comforting is that?
Was given.
Gosh.
I think that was more of a selfish comfort.
Well, like, is that even biologically possible? Like, can that even happen?
I mean,
yeah. Anyway,
we don't know when the baby, like, we don't know. We just know that he was sick for 7 days and then died. So there is a possibility that the baby could have been like a month old and then was sick for 7, and that is possible.
3 months old.
Or 3 months old. Yeah. Like, there is that possibility. Like, again, like, the devil's in the details, and we don't get a whole lot of details when it comes to the women.
When it comes to women in the Bible.
Especially in Old Testament. Like, I mean, we get Ruth and Esther, and that's about it.
Yep.
So I think that's why these women are so open to interpretation, and they're so open to slander and being painted as the villains in the story, because, like, King David's supposed to be this really great guy. He wrote the Psalms. He's God's favorite, but he does this really
sensitive artist,
really horrific things. And it doesn't sound like she had a whole lot of choice in the matter. It's not like she was watching him do his concerts being like, I'm going to go be a groupie and try to get backstage with the band. Like, she was minding her own business.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, people forget how many of the stories of the Bible David was a part of.
Yeah.
Right? Like, David slew Goliath, right?
Right.
He, there's just so much to David's story in the Bible, and there's just not a lot about the women, period.
Well,
It's a shame.
It is.
It
a
is.
shame. She is. She is in the genealogy of Jesus Christ, but it's. Jeez. David fathered Solomon by Uriah's wife, so she's not named. She's not named by name in the genealogy, and I think that's also kind of Matthew's kind of slap in the face to David by saying like, this was Uriah's wife. This wasn't like your. So I think that's kind of like one of those backhanded kind of things, like reminding people, like, I know, like, yes, we got our savior from King David's line, but let's remember like how that actually happened. And this is why he's the son of man and why like he comes with humility and compassion and everything like that. So,
Yeah.
but yeah.
It's interesting. I don't know what I think about it. I don't know what I think about Bathsheba.
I think it's like she's definitely, I think she's a divisive, I think it's like she's like every woman. You know, like depends on the day.
Yeah.
How you think about her. And it's hard to come to a concrete conclusion about someone when you don't have all the information.
Right.
It's like generally hard to paint too much of a picture about any of the women in the Bible. It's like, you know, even in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, the musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber, they created the character of the narrator as a woman to give women a role. The rest of the women in the show are background. They're ensemble. They're
Right.
dancers.
Right.
They're in the ensemble.
Well, I feel like that's pretty much the role of women in the Old Testament, unless they're being portrayed as one of like, you know, the antagonists, everything, or a protagonist, like in
She kills somebody with a stake right in the temple.
yeah. Which we can have a whole nother episode on her about like doing bad things for the right reasons. So I think like this is another example of, you know, loss of choice.
Mm-hmm.
It's a corruption of power. And there are probably hundreds of women that are unspoken in these stories and in the history of the world where this has happened time. And we see it now. We see the corruption of power now and people taking advantage of their position in order to get what they want and making it seem like there's no consequence to it. And I think in Bathsheba's case, like that's kind of how I would feel is like, at the end of David's life, me going to him being like, you promised, like in my mind, you haven't paid enough. Like you haven't paid the price enough of what you did. So like, this is the least of what you could do is make our son king. So yeah, I just can't imagine that she's.
When your only value is creating heirs.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, like
And
her
then-
first value was lust and then guilt.
But only lust for the purpose of creating.
Well, he didn't want to get her pregnant. Like, I don't think pregnancy, like he feels like the pregnancy is what makes him do the whole second part of his sin. I think if she had just disappeared into the background, like we would have never even heard of her.
Yeah.
I think because she gets pregnant, that's where like her story goes up a
legitimizes
notch. And that's why God chooses to restore her later. Because I think like she is a part of the plan,
punishes
but
David by removing that value of her in that moment, which is sad.
it is sad. I think it's a sad story. Like I don't think it's a story of seduction. I don't think it's a story of women's sin. I don't think it's a story even really of lust. I think it's a sad story of corruption of power and a woman just doing what she can to
She was just caught in the middle of it.
Yeah, she's caught in the middle and she's just doing what she can to survive. And at the end, she puts her foot down and is like, no, you promised this, like we're going to get this. And luckily she has her boy Nathan beside her being like, I got you. I got your back. I've had your back this whole time.
So maybe rooftop baths are not a good idea.
No, that's still a good idea.
Check your vicinity.
It makes me think of like a prescription drug commercial or like bathtubs everywhere, like random places, like really random places.
The vineyard.
Or like a spa that has the Bathsheba treatment on the rooftop.
I'd be like, look, if someone comes knocking on my door in like 2 hours and says you're demanded in the penthouse, I'd be like, absolutely not.
I also had a random thought while you were talking about, like, you know how Harry Potter fan fiction people write like extra stories that are not in the story about like Hermione and stuff like that. I was like, we should do this about the Bible, like Bathsheba, like write stories and just like, what was their backstory?
She's a real feminist icon in the background.
Right.
Well, that's what, so the devotion that like I remember doing about her is by Liz Curtis Higgs, who's amazing. And it's called Really Bad Girls of the Bible. And your homegirls in there that you love with the steak. I always get her name.
Jalen?
No, the one with the steak.
Isn't that, what's her name?
It's like Raul, like not Raul, but like something.
Raul.
Something along those lines.
It should be.
JL. Not Raul.
See?
JL.
Closer to Jalen. Raul. Jalen, Raul, jail.
Oh boy.
JL.
Okay.
So JL's in there as well. But she does like this really incredible thing at the like each chapter is like per woman, and she writes a backstory for them. Like she basically does like a modern day equivalent. So for like this, for Bathsheba, she's Bethany, and she's taking a swim in her own pool in her backyard, and her husband's a baseball player, like out on like playing the season, and it's the owner of the baseball team who's in this hotel that sees her and like takes advantage of the position. She thinks that like something's happened, like when the like assistant comes and gets her, she thinks like something happened to her husband in the baseball game, and that's why like he's going to meet her at the lobby and like tell her what happened, and then she has to go to his room, and it's like really, but like that's how she writes like the beginning of all of it. Gives them kind of this like soap opera-y,
interesting,
like fan fiction type thing, and so it hooks you in because you're just like, oh my gosh, like really? And then she gets into the actual like devotion, and she's like, okay, now that we have that backstory, like let's talk about what Bathsheba actually is. Is she an adulteress, or is she a victim of corruption of power? Yeah, so that's Bathsheba.
Okay. Well, Kaylee's going to pray for us, so bowing our heads and closing our eyes.
I could see you in my peripheral looking at me.
Now you
like,
have
and I
to.
was like, no.
You're the children's ministry person. So now you have to.
I told Wes I don't like to pray out loud, and he was like, we'll work on it. And I was like, great, fantastic. Look forward to that. Jesus. Dear God, thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for stories like Bathsheba. I know kind of at the end, it leaves us almost as confused as it does at the beginning. And we're just really not sure how we feel about the situation. But we know that she was a part of your plan, and that you have ultimately restored her. And that's all we can hope for ourselves, is when we mess up and things go wrong in our life, that it is just a part of your plan, and you will eventually restore us to glory, whether it's here on earth or up in your kingdom. And that's all we can hope for, really. So just thank you for stories like Bathsheba and the other women in the Bible, and let us just continue to explore them and give them voices. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for listening to this episode of Messy Christian Mamas. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram. Until next time, embrace the mess, share the love, and shine your light bright, my friends.